Welcome back to Tutorial Tidbits and welcome to my channel. I'm Elizabeth St. Hilaire, and this week I am putting some mark making on top of a floral collage that I created for one of my patrons. So I'm using some Marabu Art Shimmer crayons, and they're fun and they come in great colors. They're very buttery and soft and a completely different consistency than the mark making tools that I am used to using. So I've been playing with these lately and I really like them. And the other mark making tool I'm using is something old fashioned and classic, and that's a China marker pencil. So if you want to see how I add marks on top of a floral fun collage and you've got a few minutes, let's go check it out. So I just finished this sweet, cute little collage for one of my patrons on the collector tier, because when you are 6 months on the collector tier, you get a 10 by 10 original. So this is going to a happy patron this month of January 2025 who has been with me for 6 months on the collector tier. So what I wanted to share with you now that it is done, and I think everything is dry, is some mark making that I will put on top. So I did my original sketch with a China marker, and what's cool about China marker is it gives you a nice black pencil type of a line, but it doesn't smudge with glue or with varnish or with liquid or with paint. So those lines were from my initial drawing, but much of them got covered up. So I wanted to bring some of that back as accent. So you can see them poking out around the edges here. And I don't want to outline everything like it was in the initial sketch, but I just want to bring some like accent areas of that black back and then make use of the stuff that's underneath still. So I definitely want to separate this lemon out from this busy quadrant right here. And I'm going to do the same thing with the top of the lemon against the gold metallic leaf. So I've got that as much as I want it now. So I don't want to go all the way around everything. I'm just making a little bit of accent of black. And then in here, you can see my drawing underneath. So I'm just going to sort of shore that up in a few places so that the black is sort of back on top of the collage paper. And just like the lemons, it's underneath from the original drawing. So we'll just bring it back a little bit, not all the way around, but back to the front in a few spots. So it doesn't look like it's just the sketch underneath that we didn't cover up. You know, it looks unintentional that way. So when I bring it up on top, it's more intentional. And you can see the line here from underneath, from the underpainting from the sketch. So I'm going to shore that up a little bit. There's a little bit here and then in this corner. But again, I'm not going around the whole thing because I just want to treat it as a little bit of accent. And even on some of the stems, because those lines are underneath as well from the original sketch and underpainting. So now that I've got a little bit of black in there, I wanted to add some color. So today I am playing with Marabu Shimmer art crayons. So typically I'm always using Stabilo Woodies and Posca paint pens for this, but lately I've been enjoying the Marabu art crayons. They are extremely soft and buttery. So you can see that they're real soft. And they sharpen by twisting them up like a lipstick. So they will write on a surface without any tooth, and you can just dab them and they will transfer color. And that's what I like about them, is just making small dabs that transfer this nice, vibrant, beautiful color. So purple is not the color that I'm going to use, but I am going to look at, I have a pink here and sort of a magenta here that would go with my flowers, but you know me, I don't always like to put the same color back into the same color. So for the flowers, maybe a little bit of picking up a color from the background, like this, whatever this is, emerald, might pick up this color and bring it into the flowers a little bit. So again, it's going to be like I use the Stabilo Woodies just as an accent mark. And what's nice about these is that you can just touch them. You just touch them and they transfer. So let me get you closer on that. So if you look at this and I just touch, and you can see that nice shimmer mark. So they're very buttery, and I'm just having to just sort of touch, and it lays it on there just like a painted mark. And it's a nice sort of thick dimensional effect. So you can see I've picked up the color from here and added just a little bit of touches of accent in the pink flowers. And I love the way that that looks. Now, what I also like about these is if you are not sure about being committed, you can take them off with a wet wipe. So I've got my biodegradable water wipes here. I grabbed these on Amazon, and I like them because they're not killing our planet with more plastic. And when you put these down, if you decide, oh, I'm not sure if I like that, you can get it off with the wet wipe and reconsider and change the color. So it's not a permanent color situation, which is nice. It's also similar to the Stabilo Woodies in that way. But the way that these, with you just touching and sort of adding that buttery, heavy coverage like a paint mark, I really like that. So now I'm using the blue to pick up some of the colors of the vase. And these become really beautiful accent colors in the flowers. Much more interesting to me than just adding pink where there's already pink. So we've already got pink in the flowers, so it's more fun to add some different colors. So I've also got yellow in the lemons and in the petals, so I could think about putting some yellow in there, although this is a pretty pale yellow. It's not very golden. It's very, very light. So let's see what happens with that. Also, I can add some marks in the vase. I'm not just limited to my flowers. I don't want to go crazy with my colored marks in my flowers, so I'm just going to add a little bit of accent here in the lightest area with that yellow. And I just love how the yellow is now picking up color from the vase stems and color from the lemons. So you can see the yellow in here is going to pick up here and here. We've got a little orange. There is orange in here. I'd like to add a little orange kind of shadowy line underneath the bottom of these lemons. So just dabbing, touching, and kind of adding some dark underneath there. And in the stem here, that's a good spot for it. And I could bring this emerald onto one of the darker areas of the stems in here. And I've got the blue that's already appearing in the vase, but that would be nice on the yellow of the lemons. I did use a little bit of paper on those lemons that has blue, very subtle blue accents. You can see that here. And so picking that up, kind of adding a little bit more of that, little bit of blue accent in the lemons. And then that's also going to be picking up the blue from the vase. So the idea is to just make some accent marks, which I've done now in the flowers, the stems, and the lemons. I'm not going to do that in my stencil patterns, but I might. I don't know if there would be something I could put some pink. This paper has some pink touches in the blue. So maybe with the magenta, I could just add some more or kind of reinforce that pink that's showing up in the blue here. I like that. I like the way the magenta looks with the blue. And again, if I don't like it or if I change my mind, I can come back in here, or if I've done too much, I can back it out with the water wipe. So I think that's a pretty good, I don't ever want to go overboard with the mark making because it's about the collage for me. But let me see about reinforcing some of these dark center circles with a little bit of dark pink, just to make sure I get my shading there. So just touching what is dark with this. And that brings in a little bit of shading. Okay. So yeah, the idea is to just pick up and move some of the colors that are already in the composition around as some accent marks. So here I'm going to add a little bit of the emerald into the gold, and maybe even here. So that's looking really good. I really like the smooth, restful area of the bottom here. Everything else has patterns and textures and stuff going on. So I'm just going to leave this pink smooth and restful. And remember the China marker, if I see anything else that looks like it could use a little bit more black. Now remember, this is permanent. This is not going to come off with your water wipe. So when you bring the China marker black marks on top, you have to be confident that that's something you want, because you can't wipe that off. So, all right, I think that I'm really happy with that. And I really like the Marabu Art Shimmer crayons because they are a little shimmery and they're very buttery, and you can just touch and they kind of add like a brush mark of heavy paint. So because they're smudgy, you're going to let them set up or cure for a day, 24 hours. And then what you're going to do is hit this with a light spray varnish, and I'll give you a link below. And that spray, light spray varnish, will seal up the Marabu art crayons that are smudgy and make them so that they don't move. So once you've hit them with a light coat of spray varnish, you're going to be all set. Well, that's it. Thanks for being here. I hope you find the Marabu Shimmer art crayons to be inspiring like I do. Also, I want you to know that that whole collage was created with my own gel printed papers. So if you are gel printing like a maniac and you have no idea what to do with your stash, creating collage artwork is what I use my gel printed papers for. You can check me out on my website, paperpaintings.com. I'll see you back here next week.